Okay, hello again, gentlemen. Today we're going to revisit the budget project and we're going to do a few things. So first we're going to revise our spending journal. We're going to make sure that's all set and ready to use the information from there and add one or two more things to that. Second, we're going to create a monthly budget. We're going to include our income, whatever income you have, and look at the difference between fixed and variable expenses. Next, we're going to create a trend graph, and this is a graph that will show you when you spent the most amount of money. So hopefully if it was the day of the week or maybe the time of the month that you spent the most amount of money, that's what that will show. Next, we'll create a spending chart, and this will look similar to the pie chart that's on the bulletin board in the classroom, hopefully showing you what areas that you spent the most money on. And finally, we'll create a spreadsheet where you can answer the analysis questions that will be the final part of your budget project. Okay, so let's move over to the budget project here. Okay, so this is what it should look like. I've tried to fill this out to maybe get to where you should be at. Obviously, remember you're supposed to be filling out an expense or at least an entry for every day. And for days where you don't have any expenses, you can write none or no expenses, but you shouldn't have something like this. You shouldn't have something where you have a whole week where you didn't spend any money, because remember, if you can't remember what you spent or you can't think of how much money was spent on you, you should be asking your parents. Okay, so anyways, this should all be done now. You have your categories set. Make sure you spell them correctly so it calculates over here in your totals. All right, one thing we're going to do is we're going to add one more column. So it's going to be between the expense and the amount column. We're going to calculate or set up a column that will show what our needs and wants were. So choose one of the columns here and you're going to right click. You're going to click whichever one applies. So I'm in the C column, so I want insert one left. Alright, we can make this a little bit smaller, and we're just going to write needs and wants. Okay, so for each expense, you're going to go down and you're going to categorize whether it was a need or want. And again, this is personal preference. Um, for something might be a need. For some other people, it might be a want. So categorize it as if it's for you. So for lunch, obviously, for me, that's a need. Bus, need. Snack, definitely want. Movie ticket, want, right? So go ahead and categorize each expense as if it's a need or a want. Also on the categories, there should be personal preference as well. For example, bus here, right? Obviously that's transportation for most people. But say maybe for example you are someone who likes to try and pick up chicks on the bus. Okay, so sorry, pick up women on the bus. So it might be entertainment for you. Okay, so again, categorize these as you think is right for you. Okay, so go ahead and do that first. Categorize all these in needs and wants. Okay, so you should have already categorized these. All right, and one thing we're going to do to make it a little bit more visible on which ones are needs and which ones are wants, because one of the questions in the analysis is going to be what is the percentage of needs and wants that you had in your expenses. Okay, so go ahead and click on C, and what we're going to do is we're going to give it some conditional formatting. So in other words, we're going to add something to make it stand out a little bit clearer. So you go click on the whole column, right? You go to Format, Conditional Formatting, okay? And we're going to say if the text contains an N for need, right? We're going to change the background color to blue, right? Okay, we're also going to add another rule. If the text contains a W for want, we're going to say the background color will be purple. Okay. Once you've done that, then you save the rules, and it should change the cells to either blue or purple, depending on what's actually in them. Okay. And this will make it easier for you because you'll be able to count up a little bit more easier, just because they're more visible, and figure out the percentage that way. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just double check over here. We've actually been tracking our expenses for longer than 2 weeks, so it's no longer our bi-weekly total. It's going to be whichever, this should be titled as whatever fits for you. So for me, it's going to be tri-weekly, and for those of you who have been tracking since the beginning, when we turn this in, it's going to be almost a month, so maybe you want to change this to monthly total. Okay, so we can just do that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a monthly budget. So we need to do this on a new spreadsheet. So we're not going to create a new document, but we're going to add another worksheet to this book. Okay, so we're going to go down here to the plus sign. Okay, and that should add a new sheet. And we're going to rename this as monthly budget. And this is where we're going to include our income and other types of expenses. Okay, so I've kind of created, this is what the monthly budget should look like. It should include your income and different types of expenses, fixed expenses and variable expenses. You should also have periodic expenses if you have them. Okay, you should have a column for the amount, a column for the category, and a little table over here with the categories and again the amounts. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video while you copy this information over onto your own spreadsheet. Okay, so really quickly, let's figure out what these are. Income, obviously, that's the money you make, the money that you're bringing in. Okay, and you can put, if you have an allowance, you can put that. If you have a job, right, write those in there, write what the amounts actually are. So allowance, maybe you get, and this is for a month, okay, your month income. So maybe you get $100 a month or $50 a month from your parents for your allowance. Okay, make sure we change this column to dollars. Okay, your paycheck. Let's say we make what, $1,500 a month. Okay, so you work part-time, make $1,500 a month. Write that in there. So any kind of income you have, if you want to add in spending money, maybe you have lunch money or things like that, just add in whatever income you can think of. Add that in there. Okay. If you need to add another row, right, insert one above, insert one below, wherever you need to. Okay, if you want to shorten the sections, right, same thing, right click, delete row. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now, fixed expenses and variable expenses. The difference between those two are fixed expenses are things that happen, it's the same amount you're spending every single month. It's never going to change. So what are some examples of those? Cell phones, right? Almost every, I know pretty much every single one of you have a cell phone. Now, you may not pay for it yourself, but what I want you to do is find out how much your part of the family bill is. Okay, most of them on average are going to be between about probably around $40 to $70 depending on the services you have. Okay, so figure out what it is from your family. If you have a family of 4 and you're on a phone plan, figure out what the total bill is and divide that by 4. Okay. Other things are like memberships. Okay, maybe you have a Netflix membership, or maybe it's Xbox Gold membership, right? Okay, so these are monthly expenses that you pay, right? And put those in, figure out what the actual amounts would be, and categorize them as well. Okay, so we're using the same categories as this. Income is not going to have any categories. Leave that blank. Okay, these would be, figure out for your cell phone, would that be entertainment? Would that be for other? In other words, it's required. What would that be, right? Most of you, I know, you use them more for entertainment than anything else. So categorize it according to your individual needs. Okay, variable expenses. Okay, so this is information that should be pretty easy. We're going to take this from your spending journal. Okay, now the way you can do that is either you can copy paste information from here. Okay, but let's say for example you're going to continue to use this budget. So this is going to change as you add more entries into your spending journal, right? Okay, so if you do that, then copying these numbers, the 197, the 90, the 58, if you just copy that into your monthly budget, this is not going to change unless we use another formula. So this one is an extremely easy formula. All you do is you click on the cell here, you click equals, and then without clicking out of the cell where the icon is still flashing there, okay, you click on spending journal and you highlight the cell for food. Then all you do is you hit enter. Okay, and this should, so in other words, anytime that this changes, okay, the monthly budget amount will also change. And again, if we're going to add these cells down, or we're going to calculate the cells down below, Okay, then we just uh, drag down from that box and it'll do the same thing for all of them, right?